Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. We'll begin with our prayers. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavansha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चना गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी निति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So we are continuing our discussion from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 8. Dhruv Maharaj leaves home for the forest. So after describing the dynasty of the daughters of Swayambhu Manu, Maitreya Muni started the description of the sons of Swayambhu Manu. And ideally, he should have described Priyavrat's dynasty first because he is the elder one. But he started with the description of Uttanpad. Why?
Guru Maharaj, Lawrence.
Yeah, so we saw the various reasons. Srila Prabhupada writes in the purport the various reasons why he started with the description of the dynasty of Dhruv Maharaj, of Priyavrat Maharaj. Sorry, Uttanpad. He says, first he describes the dynasty of irreligion, and then after that he starts describing the dynasty of Uttanpad. So he speaks in the 8th verse the reasons why he is describing Uttanpad's dynasty first.
Yes.
He was very eager to describe the pious activities because the life of Dhruv Maharaj is very attractive. From his pious actions, one can learn how one can detach himself from material possessions. Fourth, how one can enhance one's devotional service by severe austerities and penances. Fifth, by hearing the activities of pious Dhruva, one can enhance one's faith in God and can directly connect with Supreme Lord. And sixth, one can very soon be elevated to the transcendental platform of devotional service. So these are the reasons why he started with the description of Uttanpad's dynasty. So we heard how Uttanpad had two wives, Suruchi, Suniti, and Suruchi was the dear one. One day her son Uttam was sitting on the lap of his father, and Dhruva he wanted to also sit. Suruchi, she became really angry. She chastised. She spoke very harshly that if you want to sit on your father's lap, you have to take birth from my womb. And just to show that she is also a devotee, she says tapasaradhya purusham. Worship the Supreme Lord. Dhruva becomes very angry. He runs to his mother like a snake which is trampled, hissing like a snake. Suniti already came to know what has happened. She is also very sad because she knows that she is not the beloved wife of Uttanpad. She is neglected one, although she is a first queen, she is neglected one. And she gives wonderful instructions to Dhruva. She says two things. Oh, my child, don't bear ill feelings for somebody who has done harm to you. Don't be envious. And this must be the result of your past life sinful activities. And then she says, your stepmother has spoken right. Atishta tattat vimatsarastam. Do as your stepmother has said. Worship the Supreme Lord without envy. Uktam samatra yat avyalikam, without duplicity, please do as your stepmother has said. Aradhya adhokshaya pad padma. Without further delay, you should engage in the devotional service of the Supreme Lord's lotus feet. Yad ichhase, if you want, adhyasanam uttamo yatha, if you want to sit on the throne as your brother Uttam. Okay, so we'll continue from 20th verse. यस्याङ्घ्रिपद्मं परिचर्य विश्व विभावनायात्त गुणाभिपत्ते अजोध्यतिष्ठत् खलु पारमेष्ठ्यम् पदं जितात्मा श्वसनाभिवन्द्यम्
Suniti continued. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is so great that simply by worshipping his lotus feet, your great grandfather, Lord Brahma, acquired necessary qualification to create this universe. Although he is unborn and is the chief of all living creatures, he is situated in that exalted post because of the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whom even great yogis worship by controlling the mind and regulating the life prana.
So Dhruva, hearing his mother's advice that, oh, you have to worship Supreme Lord. So he may think, well, do I have to go in the womb of that sinful woman by worshipping the Lord? She says, no, you will attain a position greater than Brahmaji. So that's what she's saying. So therefore, quickly go from here and worship the Lord. Do not lament. That is explained in 4 verses. Yasya Angri Padmam Paricharya, simply by worshipping his lotus feet, now she is giving an example. Why she is telling to worship the Supreme Lord. Yasya Angri Padmam, just by simply worshipping the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, Vishwa Vibhavanayat Gunavipatte, the necessary qualification was given to whom? To your great grandfather, Parameshtham. Even Parameshthi, that is Brahmaji, he also worshipped the Supreme Lord and he acquired the necessary qualifications for Vibhavaya, for creating this universe. Whatever guna abhipatteh, whatever qualifications was needed to create this universe, that Aja, that unborn Supreme Lord, unborn Brahmaji, he attained that. And then she says, Jitatma Shwasanabhivandyam, even great yogis, they worship him by controlling their life air and the mind. Jit, Atma, and Shwasana. Shwasana means life air, Atma means the mind. So therefore, she's saying, worship the Supreme Lord. Without worshipping a Supreme Lord, nobody can achieve perfection in this world. So Srila Prabhupada in the purport he describes how to be successful in any attempt. One not only has to undergo severe penances and austerities, but also must be dependent on the mercy of the Lord. Parishram and Kripa, 2 fingers. Both are equally important. If somebody is just depending on the mercy of the Lord and he is not endeavoring, the Lord is not pleased. As the famous saying goes, Lord helps those who help themselves. One who works hard, then only Lord shows mercy. And that's what Krishna showed by this Govardhan Leela. Swamatu Swennagatraya Vishrishta Kavarastraja Drishtva Parishramam. When he saw the parishram of Mother Yashoda, then he agreed to be bound. So in 20th verse, she gave the example of Brahmaji. Now, in the next verse, she gives the example of Swayambhu Manu. He says, Tatha manurvo Bhagavan Pitamaho Yamekamatya Purudakshinaiर्मखैः Ishtva Vipede Duravapanyato Aumam Sukham Divyamatapavargyam
Suniti informed us that your grandfather Samir Manu executed great sacrifices with absolute charity and thereby with unfleeting faith and devotion. He worshipped and sacrificed the Supreme Personality of God. By acting in that way, he achieved the greatest success in material happiness and afterwards achieved liberation, which is impossible to obtain by worshipping the Divine.
So after giving the example of Brahmaji, now she is giving the example of Swayambhu Manu. She says, Tatha Manurvo, your grandfather, Pitamaha, Swayambhu Manu, Yam Ekamatya, with unflinching faith and devotion, he performed Dakshinair Makhai, he performed great distribution of charity and he performed great sacrifices. Ishtva, he worshipped the Lord. Abhipede, he worshipped and he satisfied the Lord, achieved that position which is Duravapam, which is Duravapam, which is impossible to be attained even by the worship of Devtas. So only Krishna can give this position, what is given to Swayambhuva Manu. Nobody else can give. What he achieved? Bhaumam Sukham Divyam Athapavargyam. He achieved the greatest material opulence in this world and he achieved liberation also. Only Krishna can award liberation. Nobody else can award liberation in this world. Not even Lord Shiva. Only Krishna can award this liberation. So therefore, she is giving a wonderful example that, oh, your grandfather also achieved this. So therefore, you should endeavor. So although Dhruva is a very small child, but she is recommending bhakti. Srila Prabhupada writes, the success of one's life is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation in the next. Such success can be achieved only by the grace of the Lord. The words ekmatya mean concentrating one's mind on the Lord without deviation. So that's what Lord gives to all his devotees. Material opulence in this life and liberation in the next life. One example is Dhruva. Another example, all the devotees. Pandavas, Prahlad. So why is it that Krishna gives material opulence to some devotees and doesn't give opulence to others? Lord is known that अरे ये तो देते ही नहीं, ये तो गरीब रहते हैं इनके devotees. Why? What is the criteria? How Lord decides? इनको देंगे, इनको नहीं देंगे.
From the recipients, there's a desire. Dhruva had a desire. He would give that.
Prahlad didn't have the desire.
Will be given.
So the people will not go straight.
In my thinking now, it may be like this, if Lord wants to give example that anybody can do my devotion. Even the rich people can do, very poor can do, housewife can do, anybody can do, right? Lord wants to give such examples. Maybe, role models.
Okay. I'm just finding one verse. Any other thoughts?
In one of the purport it was written, we have to complete the pious activities and conduct in case of Dhruv Maharaj. That's why it's 36.
Okay. भोगेन पुण्यम कुशलेन पापम, वो आगे आएगा. Okay, ठीक है. Any other reasons? It comes in the 10th canto when Sudama, he returns back and he is remembering the beautiful reciprocation which Lord did. And there one very beautiful verse comes. I'm just trying to find that verse, but I can tell the meaning. Sudama says, the Lord knew that if he gives me wealth, I will be bound. That's why he didn't give me wealth out of his mercy.
Oh,
So that is the criteria. If the Lord understands that by giving wealth to this devotee, he will be bound, then Lord doesn't give wealth. But if the Lord understands he will never forget me, so then Lord gives all the wealth.
oh.
But the ultimately give it to them.
Yeah, but that is the principle which Sudama is giving. That what is the deciding criteria? That who will अधनोऽयं धनं प्राप्य माद्यन् उच्चैर्न तु मां स्मरेत् इति कारुणिको नूनं धनं मे भूरि ना ददात्. Adhanoyam, he is a poor person. Dhanam prapya, if he will get well, then he will forget me. So therefore, iti karuniko nunam. Mercifully, he didn't give me wealth. So that's how the Lord works. If the Lord has faith कि ये भूलेगा नहीं मेरे को.
In Canto, which number is this?
अरे इंटरेस्टिंग लग रहा है. 1081 20.
8120.
1081 20 है ना. 81 है 82 है.
So we hear such verses sometimes.
Yeah, 1081 20.
Doubt comes like these are for the devotees in Bhagavatam, not for us.
What?
No, what did you say? What did you say?
When we listen to such verses, it does not come to us, which are not for the devotees in Bhagavatam, not for us.
क्या हमको दे देंगे भगवान सब ऐसे ही.
हम तो हमारे कर्म फल
कर्म फल तो है ही नहीं ना डिवोटी को. डिवोटी जो भी हो रहा है डिवोटी के साथ तो भगवान ही कर रहे हैं. कर्म फल तो बाकी लोगों के लिए, हमारे लिए भक्ति फल है. Whatever is coming in the life of a devotee, it is given by the Lord directly. So that's how the Lord deals with his devotees. If the Lord has confidence that, oh, this person will not get debated, he'll give all the wealth. मालूम है ये तो चला ही जाएगा, तो नहीं देंगे फिर.
इसी करके वो रेगुलेट करके भी देते हो. रेगुलेट कितना है बस थोड़ा थोड़ा ले लो.
And why Krishna gave to Sudama? Yeah, that is also a question.
because I think Sudama was so proud that his
मेरे से ज्यादा गरीब को है ही नहीं. I am the most poorest. बोले ठीक है तेरे को ये प्राइड है ना, तेरा ये प्राइड भी मैं तोड़ूंगा. देखो ऐसा प्राइड बोलेंगे प्रभु जी, भगवान हमको भी थोड़ा सा ऐसा प्राइड है, थोड़ा हमका भी हमारा भी प्राइड. Okay. So success is assured. Success is measured by one's material happiness in this life and liberation in the next.
जनरल स्टेटमेंट
And that is what people say in this world. That is the general understanding.
perspective.
That is how people think dharma, artha, kama, moksha.
Yes.
Then Prabhupada takes to a next level. Such success can be achieved only by the grace of the Lord. Ekmatya means concentrating one's mind on the Lord without deviation. Ananya bhag, bhajto imam, ananya bhag. That which is impossible to attain by any other source. So devotee is not so interested in material opulence. Whatever he gets, he uses in service of the Lord. So that is the devotee. That is yukta vairagya. Otherwise it is falgu vairagya. There is another vairagya, markat vairagya. एक और वैराग्य, शमशान वैराग्य. Okay. So Prabhupada writes, it is specially stressed here that the opulence of Manu was due to his undeviating faithfulness in the transcendental service of the Lord. We have heard the opulence of the devotional service of Swayambhu Manu in the third canto after the marriage of Devahuti. नहीं Kardamuni के आने के बाद Maitreya describes the way in which Swayambhu Manu would live his life. He would sing, recite, write also, completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness.
Not only he is elder citizen and king.
Yes. One who diverts his mind to worship many demigods to attain material opulence is considered bereft of intelligence. Which verse Prabhupada is writing here? Bereft of intelligence. Bhagavad Gita. Bereft of intelligence. Kamaistaistai Rita Jnana. Rita means stolen. The knowledge is stolen by the desires. So that's how the intelligence is lost when one engages in sense gratification. If anyone wants even material happiness, he can worship the Lord without deviation. The Lord will give material opulence also, but He'll give in such a way. Yes. Which verse says this? बहुत बार बोला है मैंने verse. सत्यम दिशति अर्थितम अर्थितो नृणाम नैवार्थ दोयत पुनरर्थिताम. He'll give in a way that the devotee will not ask for the same thing again. Swayam vidatte bhajatam anichyatam ichcha pidhanam nijapada pallavam. He gives himself to the devotee. I'll also come. Devotee बोलता है आप नहीं चाहिए अनिच्छताम. कृष्णा से ऐसा नहीं होता है. 1+1 free package.
Which verse is this?
This is from 5th canto. नंबर में मैं एक्सपर्ट नहीं हूँ. हमारे एक डिवोटी हैं टेंपल में, वो नंबर सब बोलते हैं. सुकुमार कृष्ण प्रभु नाम. उनको वर्ड्स बोलो नंबर बोलेगा वो. सत्यम दिशति. सत्यम. आप मेरे को नाम एक पहला शब्द बोलेंगे तो मैं श्लोक बोल सकता हूँ, लेकिन नंबर नहीं. Satyam Dishat. It is 5:19:27. This is prayers by the inhabitants of Jambu Dweepa. They are offering these prayers. Ichcha Pidhanam Nijapada Pallavam. The Lord's lotus feet fulfills all the desires. So she is recommending bhakti to the Lord. How she is recommending bhakti to the Lord? That is very, very powerful. Very famous verse, very powerful verse. Tamev vatsa shraya bhritya vatsalam mumokshubhi mrigya padabja paddatim ananya bhave nija dharma bhavite manasya vasthapya bhajasva purusham.
My dear boy, also the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is very kind to his devotees. Person seeking liberations from the cycle of birth and death always takes shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord in devotional service. Becoming purified by executing your allotted occupations, just secure the Supreme Personality of Godhead in your heart. And without deviating for a moment, engage always in his service.
Tam eva. Your great grandfather, your grandfather, they worshipped, they achieved perfection by worshipping Supreme Lord. Tam eva, you also worship the Supreme Lord only. O Vatsa, oh my dear boy, take the ashray, take the shelter of Bhritya Vatsal, the Supreme Personality who is Bhritya Vatsal, who is very affectionate and kind to his devotees. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes that she is saying he'll have more affection for you. He has what I can give. I have heart of only one mother. Krishna has the heart of millions of mothers. So please go and take shelter of Supreme Lord. And you will not encounter even a trace of suffering. Mumukshu means those who desire liberation from the cycle of birth and death. They also mrigya. They also seek. Mrigya means they seek out. They seek out Padabja. They seek out the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord by devotional service. Therefore, what you should do? Ananya Bhave. Without any ulterior motives. Become purified, nij dharma bhavite, by executing your allotted occupation. Become purified by executing your allotted occupation. Manasavasthapya bhajasva purusham. So Supreme Lord who is situated in your heart, just worship Him without deviating even for a moment. Srila Prabhupada writes, the system of Bhakti Yoga described by Suniti is the standard way of God realization. Everyone can continue his occupational duty, at the same time keep Krishna in his heart. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. So that's how, whenever one starts practicing devotional service, even an ordinary incident becomes a glorious incident. These things are very common in the world. Stepmother abusing the child, stepchild, normal event, it is not something new. But because Suniti is now directing this small boy to worship Krishna, it became glorious event. Bhagavatam is full of such events only. How ordinary distress, ordinary calamity, which is so very common, which we keep on hearing in the news. Chaitanya Charitamrita says, what is news? Old things happening to new people. That is news. So Bhagavatam is full of such news. वही चीजें हो रही है ना अलग अलग लोगों के साथ. But how they responded, their response made that event glorious. Starting from कहाँ से शुरू हो गया भागवतम में? पांडवास क्या था उसमें? First canto में what were the glorious events?
Parikshit Maharaj.
Okay, Parikshit was cursed. He took shelter of the Lord. तस्य मेघस्य परावरेशो व्यासक्त चित्तस्य गृहेषु विघ्नं निर्मेद बोलो द्विज शाप रूपो. उसके बाद
उसके पहले Vyasadeva was not happy with.
Okay, Vyasadeva was not happy with the greatest welfare activity. So he was chastised by Narad Muni, then he wrote Bhagavatam. Okay, or
His prayers.
okay, she lists the entire life, all those things happened, but we were protected by you. Okay, ठीक है, और उसके बाद
Vishnu's prayers.
okay, some very calamity which turned into a blessing, benediction.
Uttaras. Kingdom of.
Okay, ठीक है. How the devotee responded, Uttara took shelter of the Lord. Okay. Or third canto.
No, even in the first canto, how the Draupadi and everyone was there, how they dealt with Ashwatthama.
Okay, ठीक है. Draupadi was really sad because her 5 sons were killed.
Arjuna brings Ashwatthama.
Okay.
Small and he didn't know what to do. Then he was.
Okay, he didn't know what to do. He did tapasya. He took got darshan of the Lord. Lord appeared. Okay. What else after that? और क्या क्या हुआ है भागवतम में? Third canto, how it begins? Vidura insulted by Yudhishthira, Duryodhana. Okay, और उसके बाद okay, ठीक है. Any other striking event, apparent calamity became a benediction. आगे के cantos में anyone remembers? The response was glorious. Chitraketu cursed by Parvati. गुणप्रवाहे तस्मिन् कश्यापकः अनुग्रहः. Anything else? Avanti Brahman, when he was insulted by his family members, he ultimately understood and had a realization. Nayam janome sukha dukkha heto nadevatatma graha karma kala. All these people are not the cause of my problems. Mana karanam. My mind is the problem. So that's how Bhagavatam it transforms all the common events in a glorious event because they take shelter of Krishna. Prabhupada writes, Queen Suniti advised her son to take shelter of Bhrityavatsal. So she said, you came to me crying, having been insulted by your stepmother, but I am unable to do any good for you. Krishna is so kind that if you go to him, then the combined kindness of millions of mothers like me will be surpassed by his affectionate and tender dealings. When everyone else fails to mitigate one's misery, Krishna is able to help the devotee. So that is the realization of Queen Suniti. So she is not an ordinary queen who is suffering. She's also a great devotee of the Lord. So that's why she is guiding her son to practice devotional service. And she says, Ananya Bhave, without any other attachment, worship only Krishna. Worship the Lord, fixing the mind by Bhakti Yoga. And then, ध्रुव में से और कोई चलेगा क्या? Can I worship anyone else also? In the next verse, she says, no, I don't find anyone else. No, in the Google search, if you type search घूम के बोलती हैं एक ही मिला result, Krishna. नान्यं तत पद्मपलाशलोचनात्
नाट्यं ससा पद्मपलाशलोचना
दुःखचिदं ते मृगयामि कञ्चन
दुःखाचितं ते हृदयामि कञ्चन
यो मृग्यते हस्तगृहीतपद्मया
यो मृग्यते हस्तगृहीतपद्मया
श्रियेतरैरङ्गविमृग्यमानया
My dear Dhruva, as far as I am concerned, I do not find anyone who can mitigate your distress but the Supreme Personality of Godhead, whose eyes are like lotus petals. Many demigods, such as Lord Brahma, seek the pleasure of Goddess of Fortune, but the Goddess of Fortune herself, with a lotus flower in her hand, is always ready to render service to the Supreme Lord.
So she says, Na anyam, I don't find anyone else. Apart from Padma Palasha Lochan, one who has lotus eyes. Dukkha Chidam, who can mitigate your distress. So therefore, I can't recommend anyone else. But people in this world, when they search where to go, where to take shelter, they find many. Deh apatya kalatradi, atmajaya suta agar pashu dravid bandhu rajya. But she's saying, koi nahi chalega, only Krishna. Yom mrigyate, just to get mercy of Lord. Even Padmaya, even Lakshmi, Shriya, she has lotus in her hands and she is also ready to serve the Lord. Just like in the story of Jai Vijay four Kumaras. So, what Lord says to four Kumaras? At first he says that I am ready to lop off my own arm. And then he speaks a very wonderful verse. Can anyone tell the translation? So क्या बोलते हैं कि I am so very indebted to you. I take the dust of the
Just because I take the dust of the Brahmanas, there I'm able to
destroy the sins.
sins,
And
and also the mother is Lakshmi is also attached to me.
Lakshmi's, I am not attached to Lakshmi. She is ready to serve me. सब लोग लक्ष्मी के पीछे हैं और लक्ष्मी मेरे पीछे है और मेरे को लक्ष्मी से कुछ लेना देना नहीं है. बगल में लक्ष्मी जी खड़ी हैं. यत् सेवया चरण पद्म पवित्र रेणु सद्य शताखिलमलं प्रतिलब्धशीलां न श्रीविरक्तिमपि मां विजहाति यस्या प्रेक्षा लवार्थितरे नियमान् वहन्ति. So she is saying the same. Lakshmi is ready to serve him. All the devatas, they are after Lakshmi and Lakshmi is after Vishnu. So therefore, nobody is capable of extinguishing your distress apart from Lakshmi Devi. Srila Prabhupada writes. Suniti pointed out herein with the benediction received from the Supreme Lord. Pointed that the benediction received from Supreme Lord and that received from the demigods are not equal. What is the difference? Difference in the benedictions received from Lord and from Devtas.
That's all temporary. And then,
Okay. What else?
and your desires are not purified.
So Lord gives spiritual benedictions. That is a permanent benediction. That is also Prabhupada writes in the purport. In the other words, Devatas are all materialistically conditioned souls, although they are situated in very exalted position. Their benedictions cannot be permanent. The permanent benediction is a spiritual benediction. Again, Prabhupada quotes the same verse. Only people who have lost their intelligence go to worship the Devatas. Kamaistai Ritagyana prapadyante anya devata. Antavattu phalam tesham tadbhavati alpamedhasam. Those who have less intelligence, they go to Devatas. And those who worship impersonal Brahman, those who are Mayavadis, Krishna says they have no intelligence. अल्पमेधसा और उसके बाद दूसरा बोलते हैं एक और अच्छा वर्ड यूज करते हैं they have no intelligence. So that's what Prabhupada writes, how material intelligence, material opulences are controlled by the Lord through different potencies and specifically the goddess of fortune. Therefore, those who are after material opulences seek the mercy of goddess of fortune, but goddess of fortune is after Krishna. Therefore, anyone who takes to worship of Lord automatically receives the blessings of goddess of fortune. So, as practicing devotees, what type of blessings we should expect from the goddess of Lakshmi?
Give us intelligence so that we can use the Bhakti what we get in God's service.
Okay, ठीक है. We should pray to get the Lakshmi of devotion. That is also the greatest wealth. We should ask from Lakshmi Devi. प्रेम रतन बिना दरिद्र जीवन दास करी वेतन मोरे देहो प्रेम धन. So we are after Lakshmi of Bhakti. So that's how we should pray for Lakshmi of Bhakti also from Lakshmi Devi. She can give. She is the goddess of devotion also. So Prabhupada writes, at this stage of life, Dhruv Maharaj was seeking material opulences, and his mother advised rightly that even for material opulence, it is better to worship not the demigods, but the Supreme Lord. That is a very prime example. You have material desires, go to Vishnu. Don't go to Devtas. A person who goes to Supreme Lord for material gain is gradually purified. That is another reason Prabhupada writes. कृष्ण कहे अमा भजे मागे विषय सुख अमृत छाड़ी विष मागे यही बड़ा मूर्ख हामी विज्ञ मूर्ख विषय के न दीबा स्वचरणामृत दिया विषय भुलाइबा. क्या मांग रहा है? विष मांग रहा है. I'll give him nectar. He becomes free from all material desires and is elevated to spiritual platform. And then in the next paragraph, Prabhupada writes, Lord is called as Padma Lochana, Padma Palash Lochan. There's a meaning why she's using this word. When a person is fatigued, if he sees a lotus flower, all his fatigue can be immediately reduced to nil. Just by seeing the beauty of the lotus flower, it has an effect. Similarly, when a grieved person sees the lotus face of Supreme Lord, all his grief is reduced. Anyone remembers any verse? Kapil Dev speaks a verse. Form of the Lord, the smile of the Lord. याद है? याद भी किए होंगे. हासम हरे हासम हरे रवनता अखिल लोक तीव्र शोकाश्रु सागर विशोषण मत्युदारम. Shok, ashru, sagar, vishoshanam. It gets evaporated. So that is what Prabhupada is writing here. So we should try to see what verse Prabhupada is trying to paraphrase in these purports. Many times he does that. A lotus flower is also insignia in the hand of Lord Vishnu as well as in the hand of Goddess of Fortune. Okay. So now after this, Maitreya Muni continues the discussion. मैत्रेय उवाच एवं सञ्जल्पितं मातु
एवं सञ्जल्पितं
आकर्ण्याथागमं वचः सन्नियमात्मनात्मानं निश्चक्रामपि तु पुरात्
The great sage Maitreya concludes the instruction of Dhruva Maharaj mother.
and with intelligence and fixed determination.
Unity was actually meant for.
Okay, so immediately he accepted the advice of Suniti and he left. इसके बाद सुनीति का डिस्क्रिप्शन आता ही नहीं है. That's all. Then it comes in the end. After Dhruva is going, when he's going, after 36,000 years. And that time he remembers कि मेरी माँ ने मुझे बताया था. She is my पथ प्रदर्शक guru. So he remembered her. That's how anyone who shows us the path of Krishna consciousness should be given respect. One should be grateful always. अभी तो मैं बहुत बड़ा डिवोटी हो गया हूँ. ये क्या, ये तो मेरे को खाली माला पकड़ना सिखाए थे. और क्या सिखाए? So one should be grateful for whatever one has done to bring us to the path of Krishna consciousness. That is the minimum courtesy, to show gratitude. And that is what Dhruv Maharaj showed there. He remembered, my mother, how can I go without her? So he, with intelligence and determination, the two powerful words, with deliberate consideration, with intelligence and determination. ऐसा नहीं कि चलो देख के आते हैं, माँ बोल रही है तो ट्राई करके आएंगे. No, determination. Prabhupada focuses on these words. Both the mother and the son were lamenting that Dhruv Maharaj was insulted. But mere lamentation is useless. One should find out the means to mitigate one's lamentation. Just lamenting, just shoka will not solve the problem. We have to find the way to solve that shoka, how to come out of that shoka. Therefore, both mother and son decided to take shelter of the Supreme Lord. It is indicated in this connection that Dhruv left his father's city to go to a secluded place. It is the instruction of Prahlad Maharaj also. Which verse Prabhupada is writing here? सबसे पहला इंस्ट्रक्शन नहीं, गो टू फॉरेस्ट. सबसे पहले हिरण्यकशिपु जी को बोले हैं वो. सदा समुद्विग्न धियाम असद्ग्राथ हित्वात्मपातम गृहमंदकूपम. Oh my father, go to Vrindavan and worship Vishnu. सब डेयरिंग मानना पड़ेगा प्रहलाद महाराज का. मतलब बिगेस्ट टेररिस्ट इज स्टैंडिंग इन फ्रंट. वो चैप्टर का नाम भी वो है ना, हिरण्यकशिपु टेरराइजेस द यूनिवर्स. दाऊद इब्राहिम को जाके बोलेंगे जब करेगा क्या? जब करना है तेरे को. That was the fearlessness. So Prabhupada is paraphrasing. Go to give up your family life and take shelter of the Lord. To the Gaudiya Vaishnavas, this forest is the forest of Vrindavan. And one must take shelter of Vrindavaneshwari. So now Narad is such a wonderful personality. मतलब पहुंच जाते हैं वो. He heard, he overheard. The next word says आकर्ण्य. उनको बताया नहीं, he overheard. नारदस्तत् उपाकर्ण्य ज्ञात्वा तस्य चिकीर्षितम् स्पृष्ट्वा मूर्ध्नि अघघ्नेन पाणिना स्मितः.
The great sage Narad overheard this news and understanding all the activities of Dhruva Maharaj, he was struck with wonder. He approached Dhruva and touching the boys' heads with his all virtues and the spirit as follows.
Okay. Upakarnya. That's how the Lord is so very wonderful. He is ready to send somebody. He's just waiting. Are we ready? So he is just waiting how to bring this person closer to me. कैसे plan करेंगे? He's working very hard. Lord is working very gravely. Prabhupada writes in one purport. इसमें महारौरव हिते पुरिले तुम्हारा उद्धार कृपार समुद्र कृष्ण गंभीर अपार. सनातन गोस्वामी को हरिदास ठाकुर बोल रहे हैं. You are delivered from the hellish situation. So boil हो गया ना पूरा body पे. Mahaprabhu embraced him and it purified him. So there Prabhupada writes, Kripara Samudra Krishna Gambhir Apar. Gambhir hai. So Prabhupada writes there, Krishna is working very gravely to protect his devotees. So बहुत मेहनत करते हैं भगवान. एक एक डिवोटी को एक एक व्यक्ति को वापस लाके आने के लिए. He is working very hard. So Lord reciprocates and he is just trying to find out means how to bring this person back to him. Upakarnya. So he says, Gyatva tasya chikirshitam. Narad Muni came to know all the things. क्या हुआ इसके साथ? Narad Muni is also expert in getting knowledge, getting information. You know, कुछ लोग ऐसा रहता है ना, सब जानना रहता है. और क्या हुआ, उधर क्या हुआ, उधर क्या हुआ, सब कुछ उनको ऐसा itch. But Narad Muni uses all this to bring, either to expedite the pastimes of the Lord or to make somebody a devotee of the Lord. Otherwise, Mahad Vichalanam Nrinam Grihinam Dinachetasam Nishrayasaya Bhagavan Kalpate Nanyatha Kvachit. Yet Garg Muni ke baare mein Nanda Maharaj is telling. The great souls, they travel only for the welfare of people in general. No other reason. So Narad Muni was struck with wonder. 5 साल के बच्चे में क्या determination है देखो तो. छोटे बच्चे थोड़ा दुखी हो गए तो क्या रोके थोड़ा शांत हो जाते हैं, भूल जाते हैं. He was surprised. The word used is he was struck with wonder. Vismitaha. To surprise Narad Muni is a big thing. So he was surprised. भाई ये क्या बात है. So he approached Dhruva and he very mercifully he touched Dhruva's head with his all virtues. And अभी नारद मुनि जिसके सर पे हाथ रख के हो गया ना उसका कल्याण तो हो ही गया. So Narad Muni, Prabhupada writes, he is Trikalagya. He knows everything. So Prabhupada writes, when Dhruva was talking to his mother, the Suniti had, Mother Suniti, all the incidents had taken place in the palace. Narad was not present. कैसे मालूम पड़ा उनको? Narad is Trikalagya. He is so powerful, he knows past, present, and future. And thus, after understanding the determination of Dhruva, he came to help him. So in this way, the Lord is sending his representatives to his sincere devotees. Anywhere Lord sees a quality. So Dhruva, he had the quality of determination. So the Lord is sending Narad Muni to use this quality of determination to bring him to practice bhakti with determination. So Dhruva had no plans. अभी कैसे worship करेंगे? अभी निकल तो गया अभी. माँ ने बोला वर्शिप तपसार आराध्य पुरुषम. कैसे करना वो बताया नहीं. Just left. And
in the same situation, when someone becomes determined, Maya also said he's only agent to make him taste asaram.
तो नारद मुनि भी जाके टेस्ट करते हैं पहले अच्छे से. अरे बच्चों को इतना क्यों गुस्सा आ रहा है? बच्चों को सीरियसली नहीं लेते. जाओ घर जाओ, बड़े हो ना, बड़े हो जाओगे देन यू काम. वो भी टेस्ट करते हैं. माया देवी करती है. माया देवी तो ऐसे भी करते रहती है. माया नहीं.
specifically when you determine something, the taste is
हाँ, मतलब अगर आपने डिसाइड किया कि कार्तिक में स्वीट्स नहीं खाएंगे और फर्स्ट डे इतना स्वीट आएगा सामने कि बोलेंगे एक दिन पहले नहीं ला सकते थे आप. नहीं प्रभु जी क्या है ना बना के रखा था वो लाना भूल गए थे. That's how Parikshit Maharaj also didn't plan to meet Shukdev Goswami. He just sat on the bank of river and Krishna sent. He was just asking sages. सब sages आ गए, सुखदेव गोस्वामी नहीं आए. तमोपयातम प्रतियंतु विप्रा गंगा च देवी धृतचित्तम ईशे द्विजोपशिष्टम कुहकस तक्षको वा दशत्वलम गायत विष्णु गाथा. Whatever that son of the sage has created, let it come and bite me. You keep on singing the glories of Krishna. भगवान ने देखा बहुत उत्सुक है भाई, चलो भेजते हैं. So initial eagerness and desire is important. Based on our eagerness and desire, then the Lord shows mercy. So Lord will give facility only to an eager and sincere soul. And if the devotee utilizes that properly, that advantage given by the Lord, then Lord will give more. So that's how Lord reciprocates. So now, Narad Muni, he reaches, and first thing he says, he was amazed. So next verse, Narad Muni is speaking to himself silently. देखो यार क्षत्रियों का क्या साहस है. अहो तेजा क्षत्रियाणाम मानभंगम अमृष्यताम् बालोऽप्ययं हृदा धत्ते यत्समातुरसद्वचः.
How wonderful are the powerful Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement upon their prestige. Just imagine this boy when they find child harsh words from his stepmother to unbearable.
Yes. Aho teja kshatriyanam. Just see the how wonderful are the Kshatriyas. They cannot tolerate even a slight infringement. ये तो बच्चा है, बालों. Yet the harsh words he cannot tolerate, unbearable. So Prabhupada writes the qualifications of Kshatriyas. Yuddhe chapya palayanam danam ishwar bhavascha shatra karma subhavacham. So that's the quality of a Kshatriya. So Dhruva had Kshatriya blood flowing. So he could not tolerate, although he was a boy. And generally the children, they don't take the insult seriously. उनको डांटेंगे तो थोड़ी ना बोलते हैं बदलो. Forget. After some time they forget that insult. But this small boy, he didn't forget.
But it's, I mean, in my case, it's different. Otherwise, if any insult or anything happens, it's good to forget.
Yeah. मतलब I didn't understand the context.
So if here in Durva's case, it's different, but otherwise, if any insult happens to one, we have to forget.
Okay. Yeah, yes. Depending on how much advanced we are, we can do that. Ideal is भूल जाओ हमारे लिए, but when somebody is insulting Krishna or the devotees of the Lord, that should not be tolerated. That is the ideal understanding. That is the whole story of Sati, Daksha. तो अच्छा श्लोक आपने याद किया होगा ना अभी श्लोक को. कौन सुनाएगा मेरे को श्लोक? सुनाइए मेरे को, थोड़ा सा श्लोक सुनने की इच्छा हो रही है. रघुनंदन राम प्रभु सुनाएंगे मेरे को श्लोक. इधर नहीं है वो, है ना. सती बोलती हैं. दो ही तो श्लोक याद किया आपने लास्ट चैप्टर में. रोशान परेशान के दूसरा वाला कौन था? लिखा तो सबने है. नहीं सुनाएंगे तो मैं मार्क्स नहीं दूंगा फिर. हाँ, देख के नहीं बोलना है, याद है आपको? शुरू कैसे होता है वो? अरे शुरू परेशान नहीं, वो नहीं वाला. दोषान परेशान गुणेश साधु वो नहीं, वो ऑफेंस वाला. कौन सा कैसा शुरू होता है मैं बोल रहा हूँ. देखिए तो क्या है वो. थोड़ा डिफिकल्ट श्लोक है मेरे लिए. दोषान परेशान हो गया. कर्णो विधाय निर्याद यद कल्प ईशे. आगे क्या? बिना देख के कोई बोलेगा? नहीं बोलेंगे, ऐसा मत करिए, मैं किसी को मार्क्स नहीं दूंगा। सबने लिखा है। बोल गए। धर्म वितर्यषणिभिर्निभिरस्य माने छिन्द्यात् प्रसह्य रुषतिम् असतो प्रभुश्चेत्। आगे जिह्वाम असून अपि ततो विसृजेत् स धर्मः। तो वही है जो बोल रहे हैं, इंसल्ट टू वैष्णवस वन शुड नेवर टॉलरेट। So now Narad Muni starts speaking. Narada uvacha nadhuna नाधुनाप्यवमानं ते सम्मानं वापि पुत्रक लक्षयाम कुमारस्य सक्तस्य क्रीडनादिषु।
That told Dhruva, my dear boy, you are only a little boy whose attachment is to sport and other frivolities. Why are you so affected by words insulting your honor?
Na adhunapi. Why are you so affected by that? Avamanam. You're a small boy. Don't be so much affected. बच्चों को ऐसे बुरा नहीं लगना चाहिए. Prabhupada writes, ordinarily if a child is rebuked as a rascal or a fool, he smiles. He does not take such words seriously. Similarly, if the words of honor are offered, he does not appreciate them. So why Dhruva is so much affected? Vikalpe vidyamanepi
विकल्पे विद्यमाने
nahi asantosha hetavah पुंसो मोहमृते भिन्ना यल्लोके निज कर्मभिः।
My dear Dhruva, if you feel that your sense of honor has been insulted, you still have no cause for dissatisfaction. This kind of dissatisfaction is another feature of the illusory energy. Every living entity is controlled by his previous actions, and therefore there are different varieties of life for enjoying or suffering.
So, Dhruva, if you are affected by insult, you have understanding of man and apaman, you should also have understanding that everything happens by karma. So why are you so affected? Everybody is controlled by his previous actions. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes, though opposites exist, they do not exist to such extent for the jnanis. For them, what dissatisfaction is there? What are its causes? For bhakta and karma yogi, however, opposites exist. Though they exist, the causes of dissatisfaction, such as being disrespected, and the persons causing that are not different from illusion, because everywhere in the world the causes of dissatisfaction, such as disrespect, and the people causing it arise from individual bad karma. Who is to blame except oneself? Therefore, the discriminating devotees and karmis become free of envy. So he's very logically telling you, why are you so envious? Why are you so angry? A devotee understands, a karmi also understands whatever is happening is my own karma. So he doesn't take all these things seriously. And a devotee also understands. Only a jnani is disturbed by the distress of the world. He feels dissatisfied. So therefore Prabhupada writes, it is said that living entity is always uncontaminated. Asango ayam purushaha. Asanga, living entity is always uncontaminated. He gets a body according to his previous actions. However, if one understands the philosophy that as a living spirit soul, he has neither affinity for suffering or enjoyment. He is a liberated being. The soul never gets affected by the happiness and distress. Brahma Bhuta Prasannatma. So Narad Muni, he wanted to impress. First of all, he said, you are a child. Why are you so disturbed? Okay, if you have understanding of man apman, you should have understanding that everything happens by karma. Just like Chitraketu, when he was cursed by Parvati, what he said? Guna pravaha itasmin, everything is happening by the modes of nature. What is curse? What is benediction? What is hell? What is heaven? It is all modes. So he is saying, you should also work like that. Why are you so disturbed? Next verse. परितुष्येत तस्ताता तावन्मात्रेण पूरुषः दैवोपसादितं यावत् विक्षेश्वर गतिं बुधः.
The process of Supreme Personality of Godhead is very wonderful. One who is intelligent should accept that process and be satisfied with whatever comes, favorable or unfavorable balance.
So then he says everything is happening by the will of the Lord. So why you are disturbed? Viksha Ishwara Gatim. Everything is happening by the will of the Lord. Viksha Ishwara Gatim. It is Daivopasaditam. It is happening under the supervision of the Lord and sanctioned by the Lord. So why you are disturbed? Srila Prabhupada writes. So the great sage Narada instructed Dhruva that one should be satisfied in all situations. To be satisfied in joy is easy, but to be satisfied in midst of reversals requires lots of maturity. That will come by regular prayer, by sincere prayers to the spiritual master, to the Supreme Lord. Then one will be able to give right responses. Then one will be satisfied even in the midst of reversals, because a devotee will understand that whatever is happening, it is happening by the will of the Lord. So Prabhupada writes, everyone who is intelligent should know that because of our bodily existence, we are subjected to suffering. So one who is in transcendental position beyond the concept of bodily life is considered to be intelligent. One who is a devotee specially accepts all reverses as gifts of the Lord. Which words? Te anukampa. This is the mercy of the Lord. Whatever distresses are happening in my life, that is mercy of the Lord. When a devotee is put into distress, he accepts this as Lord's mercy and offers him repeated obeisances with body, mind, and intellect. Now, Prabhupada is paraphrasing exactly that verse. Tatteno kampa samikshmano bunjanive rid vag vapubhi. With the body, mind, words, if one surrenders, jivetaya mukti pade, he becomes qualified for liberation. Now, Narad Muni, he is the biggest of the teachers and he is teaching something. But you can't expect कि मैं पढ़ा रहा हूं तो सीखना ही पड़ेगा तेरे को. Dhruva doesn't accept it. Dhruva says later, we'll see how he replies. So Narad Muni he came to Dhruva because he was guided by the Supreme Lord and he just came to initiate him in the process of devotional service. Now he is testing his disciple. So that is the role of a spiritual master, to test the disciple, to test his determination. So he tells in the next verse, Athamatropadiштena sasi yat prasadam praradhyo mato
Now you need to undertake the mystic process of meditation under the instruction of your mother, just to achieve the mercy of the Lord. But in my opinion, such austerities are not possible for any ordinary man. It is very difficult to satisfy the supreme personality of God.
is testing more. यार क्या कर रहा है कौन आज तक किया है क्या ऐसा कुछ. It is difficult for grown up people. You are a small child. Duraradhya. It is not so easy to please the Lord. Bhakti is not simple. Prabhupada writes, the process of bhakti is simultaneously very difficult and very easy. Why it is simple? Why it is difficult? Why it is simple?
Some say
Why it is easy? Simple नहीं है, easy. Why it is easy? Why it is difficult?
simple for simple and complex.
अच्छा, oh,
तो ये सिंपल मतलब क्या है, वो सब बोले how chanting dancing
simple नहीं है. Simple तो है. Easy या difficult?
easy है क्योंकि लगता है how chanting dancing
You can do in all circles. So that's why it's easy.
Okay.
Because
And
now,
why it is difficult?
Because your mind is very
because we are attached to so many things, it's difficult to.
to achieve
Easy
the higher
because-
standard is difficult.
Easy because chanting करना है. Difficult क्यों है? क्योंकि chanting ही करना है खाली. Chant, to chant properly is very difficult. So Prabhupada writes. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita many times it is sulabha. क्या है वो सुलभ पार्थ तस्याहम सुलभ पार्थ नित्ययुक्तस्य योगिना. It is very easy to achieve, but it is duraradhya also not so easy. And later Narad Muni will tell Uttanpad sudushkaram karam kritva lokapalairapi prabho. After instructing, Dhruv चले जाते हैं वृंदावन. He goes to Madhuvan and Narad Muni comes to Uttanpad. He is lamenting, Uttanpad is lamenting, Arey, I was so henpecked, I could not even show love to my child. And he says, Narad says, don't worry, oh my king. What your son has done, that is so dushkaram. Dushkar, most difficult, so dushkara.
Always.
Very, very difficult task. क्या किया उन्होंने? लोकपालैरपि, even the directors of the universe find that difficult. क्या है? क्या किया ध्रुव ने? He got darshan of the Lord. He pleased the Lord. That is bhakti. That is what we want, right? क्या चाह रहे हैं हम लोग?
Please, sir.
Please the Lord. क्या बोल रहे हैं नारद मुनि? सुदुष्करम. इतना आसान नहीं है. So भक्ति इतना आसान नहीं है. हमको फंसाया गया है. अजय? No, it is not easy.
Prabhupada has mentioned.
To start the practice of bhakti is easy. To achieve perfection is most difficult. अब maintain तो चले, वो तो है ही. To achieve perfection.
सही बात है.
So unless we are sufficiently intense, we can't expect कि प्रेम भक्ति कब मिलेगा प्रभु जी. ऐसा थोड़ा ना कि चना खरीद के खा लेते हैं, चलो. Very difficult. So it is simultaneously very difficult and very easy. Prabhupada writes something. Sri Narad Muni is the supreme spiritual master is testing Dhruv Maharaj to see how determined he is to prosecute devotional service. So we'll be also tested, tempted by Maya and tested by devotees, tested by spiritual master, tested by Krishna. भाई सच में चाहिए क्या? या फिर ऐसे ही टाइम पास कर रहे हैं? Just imagine if we are sent in the self same body to spiritual world with current mind and consciousness. मजा आएगा नहीं? जाना है? With our current mind and consciousness, miserable become miserable there. So, to see other devotees so happy, so blissful, so surrendered. So it is mercy of the Lord that He's not taking us right now.
But all other process of you don't get any blame, but it's the only process.
हाँ, और कोई ऑप्शन भी नहीं है.
ऐसा नहीं कि
ऑप्शन तो है ही नहीं, लेकिन it is the easiest of all the other paths, but that easiest is also the most difficult. तो बाकी का तो भूल ही जाओ कलयुग में. ज्ञान और अष्टांग वो तो क्वेश्चन ही नहीं है. भक्ति इज द सिंपलेस्ट वन. दैट टू महाप्रभु कृपा से मिल गया है. हे न प्रेम श्री चैतन्य दिला जथा तथा जगाए मधाय पर्यंत अनेर का कथा. तो मिल गया है, but we have to now qualify for it. So Narad Muni is testing. This is the process of accepting a disciple. The great sage Narad has come to Dhruva under the direction of Supreme Lord just to initiate him. Yet he is testing Dhruva Maharaj's determination to execute the process. It is a fact, however, that for a sincere person, devotional service is very easy. But for one who is not determined and sincere, the process is very difficult. That's how it is. process of bhakti is. Prabhupada writes in first canto, 5th chapter, 24th verse, very beautiful line. उसमें वो श्लोक आता है, तस्य मे अनुरक्तस्य प्रश्रितस्य हतैनशा श्रद्धानस्य बालस्य दान्तस्य अनुचरस्य च. नारद बॉय पिछले वाले लाइफ को बता रहे हूँ. The qualifications of that Narad small boy. He was attached, anurakta, prashritasya, very obedient, hatainasha, sinless, shraddhanasya, faithful, danta, sense controlled, anucharasya, followed. Prabhupada writes there, without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient. Three qualities: without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, without being fully obedient. Nobody can become successful in following the instructions of spiritual master, and without doing so, no one can go back to God. So that is a process. Discipline. Prabhupada writes in many places, military discipline. मिलिट्री डिसिप्लिन चाहिए, कुछ भी हो करना ही है.
आप बोल रहे सब टेस्ट होता है, every test I'm feeling तो how can I do it?
Still you are here, na? That's a success.
तो क्या प्रेजेंट तो रहना कोई अटेंडेंस का भी मार्क्स
अटेंडेंस का मार्क्स केवल 10% ही रहता है. हाँ, बाकी 90%
10% जो आते हैं ना वो नहीं आएंगे तो बाकी 90% भी नहीं मिलता है ना.
giving solace.
Like one telling like in a thing, you're attached to the engine, you may be filled with the coal, your cargo, but still you will reach the destination. So we are responsibility.
ये सब स्टेटमेंट्स ना ऐसे लोगों के लिए बोले जाते हैं ना जो बेचारे दुखी हैं, हताश हो गए हैं भक्ति में, माया देवी से पिटे हुए हैं, तो उनको सांत्वना देने के लिए ना ऐसा ऐसा बोलना पड़ता है. If we make them our mission statements, we will eat our way back to Godhead, you know. प्रसाद खा के हम भगवत धाम जाएंगे. नहीं होता है. अरे प्रभुपाद ने तो बोला है, कैच माई धोतिया, I'll take you from the back door. वो किसको बोला, कौन से परिस्थिति में बोला, वो नहीं देखते हम लोग. So ideals are ideals. उधर तक पहुंचना है तो करना पड़ेगा, घिसना पड़ेगा. चंदन जब तक घिसेंगे नहीं तब तक फ्रेग्रेंस नहीं निकलेगा.
Krishna has also told
पीछे सुधराचार हो, लेकिन वो साधु भगवान समझते हैं, लेकिन वो क्षिप्रम भवती, वो कब होता है भगवान के लिए क्षिप्रम. वो एक अच्छा जोक था. वो एक डिवोटी बोलता है, एक व्यक्ति बोलता है, कृष्णा, फॉर यू व्हाट इज, you know, 1 rupee for you is what? Is it for your millions of rupees is my 1 rupee? कृष्णा बोल रहे हैं. तो भगवान बोलते हैं, can you give me your 1 rupee? So Krishna says, can you wait for 1 second? Krishna is 1 second. तो क्षिप्रम वाला कौन सा क्षिप्रम है? तो सब भी चल वैल्यू है उसका. एनीवेज, बट बोलते रहना चाहिए, डिवोटीज को हताश नहीं करना चाहिए कभी. When devotees are really upset and frustrated with their anarthas and upset with their life, we have to give them hope.
Well, Acharya's mood also like this. If you any Acharya's mood,
Yeah,
they never say कि I am innovative into my end. They say I am most fun and I am the one with the.
नहीं, वो उनके लिए तो humility है, हमारे लिए reality है ना.
How can we understand his humility? Are you telling out of humility?
वो तो है ही, वो तो.
How can I understand? Someone is saying out of humility also.
नहीं, जो वास्तविकता में भी जो इसकी पिटाई हो रही है ना, उनको भी आश्वासन देना चाहिए, आशा देना चाहिए. इधर हम्बल है या सच में बोल रहा है. हमारे मंदिर में एक डिवोटी है, रुद्रनाथ प्रभु हैं, मतलब वो इतना ग्लोरीफाई करते हैं ना, he can glorify anyone and genuinely he glorifies. ऐसा ही नहीं कि दिखावा कर रहे हैं, और बोलना शुरू करते हैं तो फिर ऐसा लगता है कि अरे मैं इतना अच्छा हूँ क्या, I didn't know my glories. ऐसा किसी किसी के साथ रह के ना ऐसा लगता है कि हाँ भाई, जब व्हेन यू आर रियली फीलिंग लो एंड अपसेट कि यार क्या कर रहा हूँ भक्ति में, तो उनसे जाके मिलना चाहिए, तो आपको लगेगा नहीं नहीं मैं बहुत अच्छा कर रहा हूँ। एक्चुअली वी आर डूइंग मच बेटर देन व्हाट वी थिंक वी आर। क्या है, अपने को खुद के अनर्थ ही हमको ऐसा बड़ा करके लगते हैं कि भाई मेरा मन ऐसा है, मेरे अनर्थ ऐसे हैं। So we should know, in comparison to the people of the world and all those karmis, we are far, far ahead. But when it comes to the practice of devotional service, अभी दिल्ली दूर है. So when we are upset and frustrated, we should look back and see अच्छा कहाँ थे कहाँ आ गए हैं, and we should also count our fortunes which others don't have, and we should always be in that humble mood कि भाई नहीं अब अनर्थ है, but it is not so bad. We will also achieve success. I am doing good. Sometimes ऐसा बोलना चाहिए अपने आप को, I am doing good. Not artificially, not to boast about oneself, but when you feel low, when we feel कुछ नहीं हो रहा है भक्ति में, मजा नहीं आ रहा है, क्या चल रहा है. So we should always calibrate our compass. If we are doing some wrong, if we are not practicing our sadhana properly, we should try to do it. At the same time, we should always understand that anarthas will keep coming. Anarthas will always be there. We should not focus on our anarthas. We should focus on coming to Krishna, focusing on the positive side, not on the negative side. Okay, anyways, we'll continue. So now Narad Muni, he continues. Munaya padavim yasya nissangeno rujanmabhi na vidur mrigayantopi tivra yoga samadhina.
Now the movie continued. After trying this process for many births and remain unattached to material contamination, placing themselves continually in trance and executing many types of austerities, many mystic yogis were unable to find the end of the path of God realization.
क्या डिस्करेज कर रहे देखो, बड़े बड़े लोग नहीं कर पाए, क्या कर रहे हो तुम, many births it takes, go back, जाओ वापस जाओ, this is not the time. अतो निवर्तताम एषा निर्बंध तव निष्फला, your efforts will be निष्फल, it will not be successful. पहले ही बोल रहे हैं, कुछ होने वाला नहीं है. काहे का प्योर डिवोटी बनेगा, भागवतम शुरू होता है तो ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय, तो सो जाता है तुम, महाप्रसाद है कौन देवता उठता, क्या तुम भगवत धाम जाएगा. निर्बंध तव निष्फला यतिष्यति. when you grow up in future you try. भगवान रेस्पेक्टफुली बोल रहे हैं, भगवान बाद में करना बेटा, घर जाओ. At that time श्रेयसाम समुपस्थिते, Prabhupada writes, generally a thoroughly trained person takes to spiritual perfection at the end of his life. Brahmachari, Vanprastha, Grihastha, Sannyas ko Prabhupada is telling perfection. Generally, people think that childhood is meant for playing. Balastavat krida sakta, tarunastavat taruni sakta, vriddastavat chinta sakta, pare brahmani kopi na sakta. But this conclusion is not for devotees who are actually serious. So the great sage Narad is instructing Dhruva just to test him. Actually, the direct order is that from any point of life one should begin. Kaumaram acharit pragyo, वहां से नहीं तो कहीं से तो शुरू करिए. But it is duty of spiritual master to test the disciple, to see how seriously he desires to execute devotional service. So the test will be given. Even Shukdev Goswami tested Parikshit Maharaj 3 times in Bhagavatam. Surprise test. without even telling that it is test. एक तो सरप्राइज और से बोल भी नहीं रही कि टेस्ट है ये। ऐसा हमको भी टेस्ट थोड़ा लेना चाहिए। बोले आप ले लो प्रभु जी, हम तो वही लिखेंगे। So पहला he tests in the sixth canto beginning when Parikshit Maharaj he hears कि नरक में लोग हैं, कैसे उद्धार होगा। सुखदेव को प्रायश्चित, प्रायश्चित is like कुंजर शौचवत, elephant bathing। बोले ज्ञान मार्ग, he says that is like burning the forest. Next season again the seeds will grow, the roots are still intact. Then he says केचित् केवलया भक्त्या वासुदेव परायण. So that time he tested the understanding of Siddhanta. Have you understood the Siddhanta of Bhakti? कि ज्ञान भी चलेगा, कर्म भी चल जाएगा, सब चल जाएगा. Then in the end of the ninth canto, he summarized the entire pastimes of Krishna in 2 verses. तो शुभदेव परीक्षित बोले, I wanted to hear 90 chapters. अब 2 श्लोक में एकदम wind up कर रहे हैं, ऐसा कैसे? निवृत्त तरशय रूपगी यमाना, keep on reciting. So he tested the eagerness of Parikshit. And he ended this discussion by glorifying Gyan, not glorifying Bhakti. And left. The end wala instruction भी glorification of Gyan है, not glorification of Bhakti. So Parikshit Maharaj continued to practice Bhakti only. So our attachment to Bhakti will also be tested. भाई नहीं बाकी कुछ भी कर लूं क्या, ये भी कर लूं, वो भी कर लूं, चलेगा क्या? So he is testing here, strongly testing. यस्य यद्दैव विहितं
यस्य यद्दैव विहितं
सतेन सुख दुःखयो
सतेन सुखदुःखयोः
आत्मानं तोषयन् देहि
आत्मानं तोषयन् देहि
तमसा पारमिच्छरिच्छति.
तमसा पारमिच्छति.
One should try to keep himself satisfied in any condition of life, whether distress or happiness, it is offered by the supreme will. The person who endures in this way is able to cross over the darkness of science very easily.
So such tests will come, sometimes some senior devotees, they also come, they test, आपको ये सेवा करना है and they'll say नहीं करेंगे तो भी चलेगा. They are testing how eager you are. तो ऐसा टेस्ट करते रहते हैं just to see कि भाई सच में करने की इच्छा है और अच्छा हुआ ना बोल दिया, I already didn't want to do this. So here saying yasya yad daiva vihitam, which is offered by the supreme will, sukha dukha, happiness, distress, atmanam toshayan dehi, one should try to keep himself satisfied. That is Bhagavad Gita, na? क्या फर्स्ट श्लोक वही है, मात्रा स्पर्शा, फर्स्ट इंस्ट्रक्शन, तितिक्षस्व यमहीना व्यतयन्ति एते पुरुषम पुरुषर्षभा, don't be disturbed. Same philosophy is saying here. So Prabhupada writes a similar description. Now he is describing what Narad Muni is saying. He is not telling now it is test. He is now describing how a living entity should be equipoised. Then 34th is another very, very, very wonderful verse. गुणाधिकं मुदं लिप्सेत् अनुक्रोशात् गुणाधमा मैत्रीं समानमन्विच्छ न तापैरभिभूयते.
Every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate toward him. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should make friendship with him. In this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world.
It's a very powerful instruction he is giving here. How one can be not affected by the threefold miseries. Na tapair abhibhuyate. This is a universal principle which Narad Muni is telling here. Guna adhika. When you see somebody having more qualities than you, guna adhika, what you should do? Mudam. You should be happy. Anukrosha. And when you see somebody lower than you, then you should be compassionate. And when you see somebody equal, maitri samanam, when you see somebody equal, make friends. That's how we should work in this world. But many times it is the opposite way. When we see somebody more qualified, person becomes envious. And when somebody sees lower than one, try to exploit. And with equal, they become hypocritical, they become diplomatic. So they don't make friends with them. So, but this is a very important principle. They are universal principles, but now Narad Muni is quoting this to test Dhruv Maharaj. That's how the principles, they are same, they are universal, but if they are applied in a wrong time and wrong place, then it doesn't give the right result. So that's how we have to understand when to apply which principle. Guna adhikam mudam lipset. When to be more happy. When we see somebody more qualified, be happy. That's yes, that is a universal principle, but no, Dhruva is not ready for this principle. So one should not act at a level where he is not. That's why Dhruva is appreciated because he's honest. He tells Narad Muni in the next verse. We'll see the next
context. This 34 comes here in the sequence. What is the context?
He is saying that why are you envious of Uttam? He is sitting on your father's lap on the throne, and you want that? Be happy, make friends, or he's younger to you. Show compassion. Why are you so envious? So that's why he is quoting this statement. Be happy, don't be envious, and then you will not be affected. When you see that you're this छोटा बच्चा है ना, उसको बैठने से क्या फर्क पड़ता है? Then you'll be peaceful. Why do you want to sit on your father's lap? He's a small boy, let him sit. So Prabhupada writes here. Generally, when we see somebody more qualified, Prabhupada writes that we become envious, less qualified, deride, we're equal, we are proud of our activities. These are the causes of material tribulations. Instead of being envious of a more qualified man, we should be jolly to receive him. Instead of being oppressive of a less qualified man, we should be compassionate. And when we see equals, we should treat him as a friend, not be proud. Don't boast in front of them. That's how Madhyam Adhikari, he has 4 types of dealings with 4 people. Ishvare tad adhineshu balisheshu dushatsu cha prema maitri kripa upeksha yah karoti samadhyam. Ishvare prem loves Krishna. Tad adhin maitri friendship with devotees. Ishvare tadin balisheshu, those who are innocent, kripa, and those who are envious. Those who are envious, upeksha. What type of upeksha we should do? वो सामने से आ रहा है तो इधर जाओ, उसको देखने का भी नहीं है.
Avoid.
Neglect. How to neglect an envious person? If you know that this person is envious of Krishna, envious of devotees, उसका तो मुंह भी नहीं देखेंगे.
How to enter in conversation and
Just changing the topic, which are
On the topic.
whatever.
don't enter any conversation.
Any conversation. No conversation with that person.
No, whatever is needed for that situation.
हरे कृष्णा बोल के निकल
Beyond
गए.
that.
हरे कृष्ण बोल के निकल जाएंगे. उसके साथ कोई कन्वर्सेशन नहीं करेंगे.
Depends on
अरे
your,
ऐसा बोलेगा तो बात करो उससे.
Sometimes
Common.
we are
और नेग्लेक्ट मतलब क्या फिर?
Neglect मतलब don't talk about any progress of yours, for which he will become more.
Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes in Jaiva Dharma, what is upeksha? Upeksha means don't discuss any spiritual matters with them.
Hmm.
You can discuss anything with them, but not spiritual matters. In fact, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says you should be the first person to help if he is in need. If that person is in need, if he is in distress, help that person. Otherwise, his envy will never go. He'll always remain envious.
Okay.
other will increase.
So if we are helping that person, then sometime he will think, अरे यार ये कितने अच्छे लोग हैं, देखो help कर रहे हैं मेरे को. If we are neglecting him and if we are not helping him,
become more
then he'll become more envious.
And
His envy will
also,
increase.
means if we are discussing with someone about Krishna and they
नहीं वो तो discuss तो अलग है, वो तो 9th offense is like telling somebody who is more, उसका अधिकार नहीं है, अधिकार के ऊपर का बोल रहे हैं. But he is so envious. He has nothing, he doesn't like to hear anything about Krishna and spiritual subject matters. Don't discuss with them. Just discuss about his family, घर कैसा चल रहा है, business is okay, सब ठीक है, and then leave. So that's how a devotee deals with people. Na tapair abhibhuyate. And when the devotee finds somebody giving advices how to increase the material life, then how we should deal? Friends and relatives. आपको ऐसा थोड़ा अपना जॉब पे ध्यान देना चाहिए. ज्यादा मंदिर में समय बिता रहे हैं आप. थोड़ा घर परिवार के बारे में भी सोचिए. यस बोलना चाहिए. श्योर बोलना चाहिए. श्योर. ज्ञातया पितरः पुत्रा, सबके लिए श्लोक है भागवतम में. नारद मुनि खुद ही बोलते हैं ये. ज्ञातया 7th कैंटो में, वर्णाश्रम 14 चैप्टर. ज्ञातया पितरः पुत्रा भ्रातरः सुहृदो परे यद्वदन्ति यदिच्छन्ति च अनुमोदेत निर्मम. अनुमोदन करिए. अनुमोदन मीन्स एक्नॉलेज. हाँ बराबर. अंदर से बोलना बिल्कुल नहीं करूंगा तो नहीं. निर्मम. That's how. मतलब 4 बार बोलेगा वो, हाँ बोलेंगे आप. डोंट अप्लाई दिस इन डिवोटी सर्कल. हाँ कोई सेवा करेंगे, हाँ प्रोजेक्ट पक्का करेंगे. नेक्स्ट टाइम किया नहीं, प्रोजेक्ट पक्का करेंगे, हाँ करेंगे, फिर गया. ओके सो नाउ ध्रुव. इतना सब अच्छा अच्छा इंस्ट्रक्शन सुना उन्होंने. ध्रुव क्या बोलते हैं? ध्रुव उवाच सोऽयं शमो भगवता सुख दुःख अतात्मना दर्शित क्रिया कृपया पुंसा दुर्दर्शोऽस्मद्विधैस्तु यः.
Dhruva Maharaj said, "My dear Lord Naradji, for a person whose heart is disturbed by the material conditions of happiness and distress, whatever you have so kindly explained for attainment of peace of mind is certainly a very good instruction. But as far as I am concerned, I am covered by ignorance, and this kind of philosophy does not touch my heart."
तो ही सेइंग मेरे को तो बिल्कुल नहीं फर्क पड़ रहा है सब सुन के. Because I am avineetasya. Next verse he says that. So I am shamo. All these things you taught, equilibrium of the mind. One should not be disturbed in happiness, distress. बहुत अच्छा है. Certainly a good instruction. But मेरे को इस सब से, this philosophy is not touching अस्मद विधय. Just like ना अक्रूर जी आते हैं ना, धृतराष्ट्र को बोलते हैं 10th कैंटो में आता है, why are you doing all this? Just give up, give kingdom to Pandavas, and they are also qualified to receive kingdom. बहुत अच्छा है. अक्रूर Dhritarashtra says, your instructions are so very wonderful, but the problem is, they illuminate my heart just for a fraction of a second, just like lightning in the sky. He is also very honest. मुझे अच्छा बोल रहे हैं आप. So Dhruva, he is also very frankly speaking that आप जो भी बोल रहे हैं, it is wonderful. But he is telling that I am covered with ignorance. What to do? This philosophy doesn't touch my heart. So Prabhupada writes, there are various classes of men. Akamis, no desire. Then there are some people who have material desires. One who is ready to sacrifice anything to satisfy the Lord is said to have spiritual desire. No desire, material desires, spiritual desires. Akama, sarvakama, mokshakama. Mokshakama is no desire. Sarvakama means material desire. Akama means spiritual desire. So Dhruva, he didn't accept the instructions because he said, I can't, this philosophy doesn't touch me. It is not a fact, however, that those who have material desires are prohibited from worshipping the Lord. This is the essential instruction from the life of Dhruva. So one should never think कि भगवान के पास तो केवल भक्ति के लिए जाना चाहिए. नहीं, जो भी इच्छाएं हैं, come to Krishna. Even if we are troubled, if we have pain, go to Krishna. Don't go to Devatas. If we are suffering, don't go to astrologers. Go to Krishna only. So he frankly admitted that his heart was full of material desires. He was very much affected by cruel words of his stepmother, whereas those who are spiritually advanced do not care. So he said, I am not so much advanced spiritually. So therefore, Dhruva's example is quoted for Artharthi. Artha, who is Artha? Artha ka example Gajendra. Jigyasu,
Rishi, that Namaskar.
Shaunakadi rishis. They were Jigyasu, they were not devotees at that time. By association of Sud Goswami, they became devotees. And Gyanis are four Kumaras. So Dhruva is frankly admitting, by a man not qualified to receive this instruction. If you can help me, then please tell. अथापि मे अविनीतस्य क्षत्रं घोरमुपेयुषः स्मृत्या दुर्वचो बाणैः
Jaya Durvane. My dear Lord, I am very impudent for not accepting your instructions. But this is not my fault. It is due to my having been born in a Kshatriya family. My stepmother Suruchi has pierced my heart with her harsh words. Therefore, your valuable instructions does not stand in my heart.
So he very frankly says, I am avinitasya, I am impudent, I am a Kshatriya. Don't expect that I'll behave as a Brahman. Brahman can tolerate harsh words, but they can't tolerate physical insult. Fasting नहीं चलेगा, गाली दे दो चल जाएगा. और क्षत्रिय fasting चलेगा, harsh words. That's why Lord told Arjun को क्या बोलते हैं वो? Now you are telling you will go to forest. Later, अकीर्ति चापि भूतानि कथयिष्यन्ति ते वयाम संभावितस्य चाकीर्ति मरणाद अतिरिच्यते. Then later somebody will criticize you that, oh, just see, you ran away from the battlefield. That time you will lift weapon. So he's saying, I am a Kshatriya, I am not a Brahmana. ये ब्राह्मण वाली चीजें ना मत बताइए मुझे. I can't handle this. Prabhupada writes. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes something interesting. He says, though you have given nectar of peacefulness out of mercy, but to an unqualified person, I am a Kshatriya. So my heart is like a broken pot. Prabhupada writes about it. He says, it is said that the heart or the mind is just like an earthen pot. Once broken, cannot be repaired by any means. So Dhruva is saying, my heart is broken by the harsh arrows of the words of Suruchi. I cannot find solace in your instructions. So he is saying, therefore, those instructions, your instructions do not stay there. With irony, Dhruva speaks. Let the weak, cowardly Brahmanas drink the nectar of your instructions on peacefulness. My Brahman, my Kshatriya. I am a Kshatriya prince with fierce bravery. I cannot even glance on this instruction. So he says, your instructions are very perfect. I can't follow. You are giving me gold. I don't have a bag to carry. You are giving me rabdi. My digestion is not ready for it. So इसलिए अगर कुछ मेरे लिए बता सकते हैं तो आप बताइए. So Prabhupada writes in the purport. First he says how he expressed that I can't. My heart is pierced. In other words, according to his stepmother, he could not be declared as a king. So therefore, Dhruva was convinced, he was determined, I will become the greatest of the king. And he indirectly informed Narad Muni that I am a Kshatriya. I can't accept this philosophy. The statement of Dhruva indicates that unless a child is trained according to his tendency, there is no possibility of his developing his particular spirit. So Kshatriya should be trained like a Kshatriya. A Brahmana should be trained. That's what Prabhupada writes in this purport. Next paragraph, Prabhupada writes that the boys do not have Kshatriya spirit. Prabhupada writes that nobody wants to go in the war, American boys. Because they are not trained like Kshatriya. They are trained like Shudras. How can you expect that they will go to fight? That they do not have Kshatriya spirit does not mean that they are trained in Brahmanical qualities. They are trained as Shudras. Kalau Shudra Sambhava. So Prabhupada writes about that. So Narad Muni says, अच्छा भाई तेरे को चाहिए क्या? What do you want? If you can't glance on these instructions, you're saying, what do you want then? Then the famous verse.
So at the end, everybody have to imbibe the Brahmanical qualities of the right? Whoever they may be.
Not necessary. If somebody has a Kshatriya, अभी कलयुग में तो ये सब क्वेश्चन इनवैलिड है. कलयुग में ये क्वेश्चन वैलिड ही नहीं है. कौन ब्राह्मण, कौन क्षत्रिय, कौन वैश्य.
तो फिर उनको तो ब्राह्मण ही तो बनना है.
So ultimately, क्या वो बोलते हैं ना, वो अपने क्या बोलते हैं, डीटी वर्शिप के पहले क्या बोलते हैं, ना हम विप्रो, क्या बोलते हैं एंड में, वो ही बनना है. Whoever we may be, ultimately we have to come here. If our being a Kshatriya is impediment, then we should know what to do. Our being a Vaishya, our being a Brahmana is impediment in becoming a devotee of the Lord. Reject that. Anukulasya sankalpa pratikulasya varjanam. If our Kshatriya qualities are becoming impediment, give up that. So that is where devotion begins, beyond Varnashram. We are not about becoming a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, or Shudra. We'll use our qualities in service of the Lord, but if that quality is not favorable for devotion, we will have to work on it. That is very important to understand in current times. We cannot take weapons if somebody says, मैं तो क्षत्रिय हूँ, इतना अन्याय हो रहा है हिंदुओं पे, हम भी शस्त्र उठाएंगे. Is it conducive for your devotional service? That is the main thing. Are we supposed to do that? Are we in a position to do that? So that is the question we should ask always. If somebody is an army, say, मैं तो अभी chanting कर रहा हूँ, अभी कैसे बंदूक उठाऊं? बाबा उसको करना पड़ेगा, वो उसका ड्यूटी है वो भी. लेकिन एक जो अभी साधारण सा व्यक्ति है, बोले मैं भी अभी गन लेके चलता हूँ, I will also kill. No, that is not needed. क्या चाहिए तेरे को? What do you want then? Next verse, he expresses his desire, the topmost desire. Padam tribhuvanutkrishtam जिगीषो साधु वर्त्ममे यूयस्मत्पितृभिर्ब्रह्मन् अन्यैरप्यनधिष्ठितम्.
O Lord Brahmana, I want to occupy a position more exalted than any yet achieved within the three worlds by anyone, even by my father and grandfathers. If you will oblige, kindly advise me of a honest path to follow by which I can achieve the goal of my life.
So he's very, very honest, very frank, but he doesn't want any sinful means. क्या चाहिए? Padam Tribhuvan Utkrishtam. I want kingdom greater than my great grandfather. Jigisho, I want that. But Sadhu Vartma, in an honest way. Please tell me an honest way to get that. He is a pious Kshatriya. He's son of Uttanpad, so naturally he'll be having pious qualities. So sadhu vartma. I want an honest path. Bruhi asmat pitribhi. Oh great sadhu, oh great learned Brahmana, please tell me, oh Brahman, anyair api anadhishtitam, which is not acquired by anyone. ऐसा चाहिए मेरे को. Prabhupada writes, when Dhruva refused to accept Brahmanical instructions, Naturally, the next question would be, what sort of instruction he wanted? कौन सा instruction दे आपको? Brahmanical instruction नहीं चाहिए तो which instruction? Dhruva is telling, tell me how to become the emperor of the entire world. That is the desire. So Prabhupada writes, he frankly stated that he wanted a kingdom which had no competitor within three worlds. The greatest personality within the universe is Brahma, and he wanted a position greater than Brahma. He wanted to take advantage of Narad Muni's presence. He knew that Narad Muni is a great saint. He can tell me how to achieve this. So he had this understanding. The great souls, learned Brahmanas can tell me how to achieve this position. That was the credit of Dhruva. He had faith in devotees. That made the whole difference. If somebody comes with a material desire, so it depends on the spiritual master or the senior devotee to mold that desire in a way that the person becomes a devotee of Krishna because he has put faith in you. So Narad Muni, he understood that this person has faith in me. He is saying, "Aap bataiye, aapke upar vishwas hai." So therefore, Narad Muni is now very intelligently. He didn't teach him any martial skills. He didn't teach him any martial vidya, any Kshatriya knowledge. He detailed that determination to practice bhakti. That is what he is doing here. So Prabhupada writes in the last paragraph of this. One particular point mentioned here is that Dhruva wanted to occupy the position not by hook or crook, but by honest means. This indicates that if Krishna offered him such a position, then he would accept it. That is a nature of a devotee. He may desire material gain, but he accepts it only if Krishna offers it. If some devatas give, the devotee doesn't accept. If Krishna gives, then I'll accept it. Next verse. Nunam bhavan bhagavato
Nunam bhavan bhagavato
yo angaja parameshthinaha
angaja parameshrina
vidudan natate veenam
vidudannate lina
hitaya jagatorkavat.
My dear Lord, you are a worthy son of Lord Brahma, and you travel playing on your musical instruments, the Veena, for the welfare of the entire universe. You are like the sun, which rotates in the universe for the benefit of all living beings.
So he understands the glories of Narad Muni. As a small boy, he knows. You know, Arkavat, ये पहले भी आया ना नारद मुनि के बारे में कौन बोलते हैं मालूम है? व्यासदेव when he glorifies Narad Muni, the 5th chapter, 1st canto. Tom Arkavat Paryatan Ivam Trilokim. You are like the sun traveling everywhere. You are like the air. You are like Paramatma. 3 examples he gives. तो यहाँ पे बोल रहे you are like the sun. You are just moving around for the welfare of people in general. So Prabhupada writes, the example of sun is very significant. Sun is so kind that he distributes his sunshine everywhere without discrimination. So therefore, Dhruva is requesting him, please be merciful and instruct me how can I achieve. So now, Maitreya Muni, he continues. Translation, next verse.
The great Maitreya continued. The great personality Narad Muni, upon hearing the words of Dhruva Maharaj, became very compassionate towards him. And in order to show him his causeless mercy, he gave him the following expert advice.
Narada Uvacha Jananyabhita Pantha Savai Nishre Bhagavan Vasudevastam
भगवान
Ajatam
वासुदेव
Pravanatmana.
The great says Narada. Narada told Dhruva Maharaj, the instructions given by your mother Suniti to follow the path of devotional service to the Supreme Personality of God is just suitable for you. You should therefore completely absorb yourself in devotional service to God.
So now Narad Muni understood that, oh, he is a pakka determined child, he has passed my test. So after the spiritual master understands that this disciple is really qualified to receive my instruction and devotional service, then the instruction starts. So now the first thing he says, the instruction given by your mother Suniti. Jananya Abhita Pantha. The Pantha means the path which is given by your mother. What is the path? Tapasa Aradhya Purusham. Worship the Supreme Lord. Savai Nishreya Sasyate. That is suitable for you. That is the most suitable path. Therefore, Bhaja, absorb yourself completely in devotional service. So here, Narad Muni is completely dovetailing his determination to practice devotional service. That is very wonderful. So Dhruva wanted a material product, but Narad saw that he is ready to follow a spiritual process. So he said, I want honest means, and you can give it. If he is asking spiritual person, that means he is ready to follow a spiritual process. So we should focus on the process and give spiritual product only. If somebody comes with some material problems, there are very many ways to solve that problem. First thing is just give some material solution and send him. Another thing is only give spiritual only. वो बोल रहा है मेरे घर में ना मेरी बेटी मेरी बात नहीं सुनती है, she is not listening, वाइफ के साथ झगड़े हो रहे हैं. There is only one problem in this world. Krishna consciousness. Chant Hare Krishna, everything will be all right. Will it work?
Yes.
आपने किया है ऐसा किसी के साथ?
मैं बोल रहा हूँ एकदम स्टूडेंट्स को डिस्कस में रहते हैं.
स्टूडेंट्स का अलग है. स्टूडेंट्स को एनीवेज कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. स्टूडेंट्स के साथ तो हम बहुत सालों से 20 साल से डील कर रहे हैं. स्टूडेंट्स को कुछ फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. पर्सन कम्स विद अ मटेरियल प्रॉब्लम. मेरा जॉब में लॉस हो गया है, बिजनेस में लॉस हो गया है, बेटी कुछ भी ठीक से कर नहीं रही है, शी हैज सम अफेयर, लड़का हाथ से निकल गया है, क्या करूं प्रभु जी? चैंट हरे कृष्णा. विल इट वर्क? काम करेगा?
तो वही करते हैं, दूसरा कुछ कर ही नहीं सकते. तो सुनेगा नहीं तो बराबर है, वो नहीं सुनेगा. पहली बात तो
वो 16 माला ऑलरेडी कर रहा है, आप क्या बोलेंगे?
Then they have
कभी आपने
so they should chant and pray to Krishna. New people will be difficult.
16 माला कर रहा है
नहीं,
एंड ही हैज मटेरियल प्रॉब्लम्स. आप क्या बोलेंगे? 32 माला कर. क्या करेंगे? हम आपके लिए प्रार्थना करेंगे भगवान से. You should understand how to handle the devotees and new people. See, if we are just giving spiritual solutions without understanding the exact situation, if Krishna so very merciful, माला करने से उसका सुधर गया, तो that is your luck. Mostly नहीं होगा. अगर बिगड़ गया ना, जीवन में कोई माला नहीं करेगा. डिवोटीज को क्रिटिसाइज करेगा. मैं गया इसके पास हेल्प मांगने के लिए, मेरे को माला पकड़ा उसने. So we have to be really sensitive while dealing with the problems of the people, especially those who are preachers, those who are leading congregation. So if we are not giving we should give some material solution, but our focus should be spiritual. If we are not giving any material solution, and if you are not capable of doing it, guide that person to somebody who can give material solution. मेरा ना कोर्ट केस चल रहा है, दिखाओ तो सही. मैंने भी थोड़ा पढ़ाई किया था कोर्ट केस का. So you should know how to handle devotees, material problems and spiritual problems. अभी उसका कोर्ट केस चल रहा है, टेंशन में, बिजनेस लॉ हो गया है, और वो ही इज एक्सपेक्टिंग सम सॉल्यूशन. We cannot just give spiritual solution. It will not work many times. So it requires a very mature devotee, mature leader to give a material solution while focusing on the spiritual solution. That is very, very important to understand. So that the devotees become very stable in their devotional service. At the same time, they become peaceful in their material life. Because if one is not peaceful in their material life, it is very difficult to practice bhakti. So उसका solution देना ही चाहिए. If you can't give, direct him to a person who can do it. Some professional person who can help this devotee. नहीं तो मैं ही सब solve करूंगा तो नहीं चलेगा. But the faith in Krishna consciousness should be maintained. That is our responsibility. His intensity in devotional service should increase. That is our responsibility. At the same time, another responsibility is we should try to give some material solution. If you can't give, connect him to a person who can give material solution. So that is very, very important to understand. Otherwise, it becomes difficult. आपके केस में काम कर गया, अभी तक काम किया, अच्छा है. But आगे be careful. सब बार नहीं करेगा काम. So that is very important to understand. If somebody is coming with some material problems, and of course, if he is not in need of material solution, he is just pouring out his heart. ठीक है, चलेगा. फिर आप बोलिए स्पिरिचुअल सोल्यूशन दीजिए, फोकस ऑन कृष्णा, फोकस ऑन चैंटिंग. बट इफ इज रियली थिंकिंग कि भाई मुझे कुछ सोल्यूशन देंगे प्रभु जी, अगर ऐसा है, एंड यू वर्क ऑन इट ऑल्सो. दैट इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट. So Dhruva, he was ready to follow a spiritual process. So Narad Muni, he gave a wonderful process. See, Narad Muni could have given this post to Dhruva directly. He was qualified enough. If Narad Muni desires, he can do it. But he is teaching Dhruva how to get this. So that is the role of a spiritual master, to discipline the disciple. So Narad Muni didn't focus on the product. He focused on the process. Is very wonderful. That is an expert spiritual master. So Srila Prabhupada writes, Krishna was Dhruva Maharaj's demand was to achieve an abode even greater than Brahma. Within this universe, within this universe, Lord Brahma is supposed to be in the most exalted position, for he is the chief of the demigods. But Dhruva wanted a realm beyond this. Therefore, his desire was not to be fulfilled by worshipping any demigod. As described in Bhagavad Gita, the benedictions offered by Devatas are temporary. Antavattu phalam. Therefore, Narad Muni asked Dhruva Maharaj to follow the path recommended by his mother, that is, worship Krishna. When Krishna offers anything, it is beyond the expectation of a devotee. Both Suniti and Narad Muni knew that the demand of Dhruva was impossible for any demigod to fulfill. Therefore, both of them recommended following the process of devotional service. So Narad Muni is referred as Bhagwan. Here Prabhupada writes, because he can bless any person. He was very pleased with Dhruva, and he could have at once personally given whatever he wanted. Narad Muni was qualified enough to give this. But this is not the duty of spiritual master. His duty is to engage the disciple in proper devotional service. as prescribed in the Shastras. So now, next verse, Narad Muni says, Dharmartha kama mokshakhyam
कर्मार्थ काम मोक्षस्य
एकम
आत्मनः
एव हरेस्तत्र
एक एव हरितत्र
कारणपादसेवनम्
कारणपादसेवनम्.
Any person who desires the fruits of the four principles enjoys the economic development, self-gratification, and in the end, the liberation. They engage himself in the devotional service of the Supreme Divine Godhead for worship of his lotus feet. Means the fulfillment of all.
So now,
Nothing is saying same thing, no? What we are telling, we are saying so many problems that are what they are person. But he is in so many problems.
for what?
He wants that position.
Yeah.
He already had for he didn't get others love. And he is telling you to worry now.
मुझे मालूम है आप लोग कन्विंस नहीं है आंसर से. आई विल नॉट फोकस ऑन इट क्योंकि उसको आंसर करने के लिए 1 घंटा उसमें लग जाएगा.
नहीं, but the situation here is Narumani knows that whatever he is asking cannot be given by another. That's why he is guiding that person. No one can give that. But Brahma position more than Brahma, who can give? Krishna
Many
only
times the
can.
solution what they can do because
What he wants, nobody.
You want a position, na? His problem is you want position.
material
Who
problem,
can
the
give him
solution
position?
what
Krishna
we are
only can
giving,
give. That's
it
what
should not
guiding
be a
Krishna.
bigger problem. Krishna will give them a correct understanding.
Okay, ठीक है आप you can work as your style. That's what we have learned from Maharaj,
What you are
and it works.
It works.
It is very important. Anyways, we'll not focus on that. Let's continue. So, Dharma, Lord, Narad Muni says, the Lord can give all the results of Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. And he says the demigods cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Lord. Sataya Shraddhaya Yuktas Tasya Radhanam Ihate Labhate cha tatah Kaman Mayeva Vihitan Hitan. Krishna says all the results which are given by the Devtas, they are offered by Krishna only. The Devtas, they take powers from Krishna and then they give benedictions to their followers. And then Prabhupada writes, whenever any sacrifice is offered to a demigod, the Supreme Lord in the form of Shaligram Shila is put forward to observe the sacrifice. That is the ideal Devta worship. In any Devta, bona fide Devta temple, first the Bhoga is offered to Shaligram and then Mahaprasad is given to Krishna, to the Devta. So that's how the Devtas, they cannot give any benediction without the sanction of the Lord. Narad Muni is therefore advised that even for Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, offer prayers, and ask for fulfillment of one's desire at the lotus feet of the Lord. That is real intelligence. An intelligent person never goes to the demigods to pray for anything. He goes directly to the Supreme Lord, who is the cause of all benedictions. And then Prabhupada writes, as Lord Krishna said in Bhagavad Gita, the performance of ritualistic ceremonies is not actually religion. The real path is to surrender. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam, Prabhupada writes. So devotee is actually not bereft of sense gratification. Krishna gives it. It is very, very important to understand that devotee will never be bereft of sense gratification. But Krishna gives that sense gratification in a way that the devotee will not go away from devotional service. So that is the beautiful way how Krishna deals with the material desire of the person, of a devotee or a person who is trying to come to Krishna consciousness. Artharthi. Artha, Artharthi, Jnani, Jigyasu. Because they are coming to Krishna, so Krishna purifies their material desires and ultimately they forget their desire for wealth or freedom from distress, and they focus on devotional service of the Lord. That is very important. Now, he is giving another spiritual solution. Now he is giving details of what you should do spiritually. तत्तात् गच्छ भद्रं ते यमुनायां तटां शुचि पुण्यं मधुवनं यत्र सान्निध्यं नित्यदा हरेः.
My dear boy, I therefore wish all good fortune for you. We shall go to the bank of the Yamuna where there is a virtuous forest named Madhuvan, and there be purified. Just by going there, one draws nearer to the supreme personality of body, who always lives there.
He is saying, go to Vrindavan, go to Madhuvan, Yamunayam Tatah Suchi, go to the holy banks of Yamuna and worship the Supreme Lord. Just by going there, one draws nearer to Supreme. So that's how both Narad Muni and Suniti, they prescribe to worship the Lord. Now Narad Muni is giving the details of how to worship. Go to Vrindavan first. So Prabhupada writes how the places of pilgrimage, they have a special advantage. It is very easy to approach the Lord in the holy places. And Prabhupada quotes, Lord Krishna says that he lives wherever his devotees are chanting the names of the Lord. Naham tishtami vaikunte yoginam hrideshu yatra gayanti madbhakta tatra tishtami narada. So we should go to a holy place not just to take darshan of the holy places, not to take bath in Yamuna, but hear from the devotees who are staying there, because Krishna is staying in the heart of the devotees. Krishna is staying in a place where Krishna Katha is going on. And then Prabhupada writes, unless one is very advanced, it is recommended to live in such holy places and execute devotional service. Unless one is very advanced in devotional service, it's recommended. But an advanced devotee like Narad Muni who is engaged in preaching work, okay. So Prabhupada is giving another understanding that an advanced devotee should go and preach. If you are not sufficiently advanced, then you can sit in the holy place and chant. So Prabhupada is giving a higher understanding. Goshthanandi and Bhajananandi. Prabhupada would tell, I wasted my many years sitting in Vrindavan. Prabhupada said 2 times. So that is the vision of a Goshthanandi, tries to preach Krishna consciousness. So that's what Prabhupada is writing here. Okay, so now he continues. So then in Narad Muni now starts explaining the Ashtanga Yoga. Read the translation. Because this is Satya Yoga, Narad Muni is recommending Ashtanga Yoga, but it is primarily for practicing devotional service. Yeah.
Narad Muni instructed, my dear boy, in the waters of the Yamuna river, which is known as Kalindi, you should take 3 baths daily because the water is very auspicious, sacred and evil. After bathing, you should perform the necessary regulative principles for Ashtanga Yoga and then sit down on your asana, sitting place in a calm and quiet position.
Next verse.
After sitting on your seat, practice the 3 kinds of breathing exercises and thus gradually control the life where the mind and the senses. Completely free yourself from all material contaminations and with great patience begin to meditate on the supreme personality of Godhead.
So meditate on the Supreme Lord. That is the purpose of Ashtanga Yoga. So Prabhupada writes how by pranayam, the mind is controlled, and with that controlled mind, one can focus on the form of the Lord very easily. Then Prabhupada writes, it is recommended here to Dhruva that he meditates on Supreme Guru, that is Spirit Krishna, that is Chaitya Guru, who is seated in everyone's heart. And then he describes there is some pratyahar. So he described yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, and Pratyahar. What to avoid? Control, he said. With great patience. Patience is Pratyahar, control. So after Pratyahar, what comes is Pratyahar के बाद क्या है? Dharana and Dhyana. So now in 45th, 46th, and many verses, I think 46 se leke, and there are few 53rd, 52nd, he describes the meditation on the form of the Lord. Another beautiful section. Prasadabhimukham sashvat प्रसन्नवदने क्षणम् सुनासं सुभ्रुवं चारु कपोलं सुरसुन्दरम्. Translation.
The form of the Lord is described herein. The Lord's face is perpetually very beautiful and pleasing in attitude. To the devotees who see him, he appears never to be displeased, and he is always prepared to avoid benedictions to them. His eyes, his nicely decorated eyebrows, his raised nose, and his broad forehead are all very beautiful. He is more beautiful than all the demigods.
Prasad Abhimukham, he is always prepared to award benedictions. Sashvat, always prepared. Prasanna Vadana Ikshanam, beautiful eyes, beautiful face. Sunasam, nice raised nose. Subhruvam, eyebrows. Kapola, broad forehead. Sura Sundaram, more beautiful than the Devtas. अच्छा याद आ गया एक बार आई थिंक राधा गोविंद महाराज somebody gave initiation बिहार में इनिशिएशन दे रहे थे तो एक डिवोटी को नाम दिया सुर सुंदर दास सुर सुंदर वो गांव में गया बोला दीक्षा हो गया मेरा क्या नाम दिया सुर सुंदर क्या चुचुंदर दास चुचुंदर दास नाम ऐसा कैसे नाम दिया तुमको तो वापस गया बोला महाराज मेरा नाम चेंज करिए लोग मेरे को चुचुंदर दास बोल रहे हैं सुर सुंदर दास. So he's more beautiful than the Devtas. So Prabhupada writes again how in the modern days impersonal meditation is a bogus invention. There is beautiful description of the form of the Lord. Lord is never impersonal. Lord is personal. And Prabhupada writes how if we meditate on the impersonal Brahman, that is klesha adhikatara tesham. That is the very troublesome path. Next verse. Tarunam ramaniyangam अनुष्ठेक्षणाधरम् प्रणताश्रयणं नृम्णम् शरण्यं करुणालयम्.
While we continue, God is always useful. Every limb and every part of his body is properly formed, free from defect. His eyes and lips are pinkish like the rising sun. He is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered soul, and anyone so fortunate as to look upon him feels all satisfaction.
Tarunam. Yeah, continue.
The Lord is always worthy to be the master of the surrendered soul, for he is the ocean of mercy.
He is Tarunam, always youthful. Ramaniyangam, his every limb and every part of the body is Ramaniya, properly formed, free from defect. Aruna, reddish. Oshtha and Adhara. Oshtha is the upper lip, Adhara is the lower lip. So they are pinkish like the rising sun. Pranata Ashrayanam, he is always prepared to give shelter to the surrendered souls. Nrimnam, anyone so fortunate to look at him feels satisfaction. Transcendentally pleasing. He's transcendently pleasing in all respects. And Sharanyam, he is worthy to take shelter. Any other words similar to this? Sharanyam, worthy, worthy to take darshan, worthy to hear about. दर्शनीयम दर्शनीय शरण्य, अच्छा शरण्य नहीं आता है, दर्शनीय रमणीय, यहाँ पे रमणीय आ रहा है वर्ड,
रमणीय है ना, second.
दर्शनीय स्पृहनीय
स्मरणीय,
वर्णनीय कीर्तनीय भजनीय. So everything about the Lord is worth. So Sharanyam, he can only give shelter. And he is Karunarnavam, he is the ocean of mercy. So Prabhupada writes, everyone has to surrender to someone superior. But because we are surrendering to society, nation, state, government, so nobody is happy. Surrender becomes perfect when one surrenders to the Supreme Lord. So again, Prabhupada writes, the description given by Narad Muni is not imaginary, as described by some Mayavadis. Srivatsankam Ghanashyamam Purusham Panamalinam Shankachakra Gada Padmai Abhivyakta Chaturbhujam.
Lord is further described as having a mark of Shiva.
Described as having the mark of Shiva, Shiva or taking place of the goddess of perfume, and his bodily hue is deep bluish. The Lord is a person. He wears a garland of flowers, and he is eternally manifested whole, beginning from the lower left hand, a conceal wheel.
So that's how the Lord's description is given. He has Srivatsa, he is wearing a Vanamala, garland of 5 types of forest flowers. He has Shankachakra Gada Padma. And then he is wearing a beautiful helmet. Kiritinam Kundalinam. Keyura Valayanvitam. Kaustubha Bharatam. Kausheya Vasasam. Kirita, helmet, Kundala, and he has earrings. Keyur Valayanvitam, he has beautiful necklace, bracelets, Kaustuba jewel, and yellow silk garments. Kanchi Kalapa Paryastam, Lasat Kanchana Nupuram, Darshaniyatam Shantam, Manonayana
All golden bells around his waist, and his lotus feet are decorated with golden anthodies. All his bodily features are very attractive and pleasing to the eyes. He is always peaceful, calm, and quiet, and very pleasing to the eyes and the mind.
Mano Nayana Vardhanam, this form is pleasing to the eyes and to the mind. The form of the Lord pleases the eyes and the mind. The sound of the Lord pleases the mind and the ears. Nivritta Tarshai Rupagiyamana Bhavoshadat Shrotra Mana Abhiram. Here Mano Nayan, wahan pe Shrotra Mana. So sound of Krishna, that is Bhagavatam, pleases the ears. There is Darshaniya Tamam, Darshaniya, Darshaniyatar, Darshaniyatam. Superlative degree, Darshaniya Tamam. Namaniya, Shravaniya, Darshaniya. Next verse. Padbhyam Nakmani Shrenya. Satyam Samarchata. Ritpadmakarnikadhishnyam. Akramyat Manyavasthitam.
Here Yogi is meditating upon the concentrated form of the Lord as he stands in the whirl of lotus flower of their hearts. It's very like lotus of their hearts, to join the ignorance of his lotus feet breathing.
स्मयमानमभिध्यायेत् सानुरागावलोकनम् यतेनैकभूतेन मनसा वरदर्शनम्
He's always smiling and the devotee should
The
also.
Lord is always smiling, and the devotee should constantly serve God in his form toward the devotee. In this way, the meditator should look toward the Supreme Personality, the bestower of all benedictions.
Niyatena, the word used is, Prabhupada focus on that, indicates that one should execute the meditation practiced as stated above. It should not be imaginary meditation. One cannot invent a meditation process. I feel I want to meditate on this. No. As described in scriptures, that's it. And ekabhutena, with great concentration and attention. And then he ends with Evam Bhagavato Rupam Subhadram Dhyayato Manaha Nivritya Paraya Turnam Sampannam Na Nivartate. Evam Bhagavato Rupam, this form of the Lord, which is Subhadra, which is very auspicious, meditate, Dhyayata Manaha, Nirvritya Paraya Turnam. What will happen? Well, will be free from all the material contaminations. Turnam, very soon it will happen. Sampannam na nivartate. And when one reaches this type of meditation, one does not come down. One is fixed in that meditation, and that is called as samadhi. So that's how he describes the process of Ashtanga from Yam Niyam to Samadhi. And then the next verse describes, he speaks a mantra that we'll see next time. We'll stop here. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Jai. Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada.